Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. If you've not been to a Join George before, I am George and I run a webinar series from the Purple Monster Studio, which is where we are today. I'm just going to introduce my producer Hugo, who you won't be able to see, but I'm just letting you know he's there and he's running all the tech, making sure you can see me, hear me, and of course the same for my guest, who I will introduce in just a moment. But first of all, I'd really like to hear from you, our audience. This is an interactive live session, so although we won't be able to hear your voices and see you, I do want you to use that chat function. I've got my laptop here so that I can see your comments, and I'd love to be able to read out your questions and any of your stories or comments that you've got around the subject as we go through the session. So please do use it. So if you could type in for me now your name, where you're joining from, and maybe something that you'd like to get out of the session today. What are you hoping to get from today's webinar? And while I give you a bit of typing time, I'm going to introduce our guest, Gus Bhandal, the marketing guru. Hello, Gus.
Hi, George. Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining me today.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So we've just been chatting, of course, before we've gone live. And I said to you that I thought we must have met online last year. You think it was like years, like
I think it's a
year
while ago. Yeah, it's
over
weird.
A year ago.
It feels like it could be a year ago, or it could have been 5 years ago.
It could have been.
Yeah,
it could have been.
Yeah,
but this is it. We'd never actually met in person.
That's right. Yeah.
So this webinar gave me a great opportunity to go. I want Gus on. So I'm going to reach out to you.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
and so it's a pleasure to meet you in person.
Finally, yes.
And also we were talking about how the fact that although we hadn't met in person, we felt like we had.
Yeah.
Because of course, online now, remote, and things like LinkedIn, of course, you are able to demonstrate personality. You are able to make those connections. That's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
And you and I feel like we've known each other for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the thing. When you meet somebody, you're like, oh, I've known this person for ages, and then you have to think about it. You think, no, actually, we've never actually met in person. But yeah, it's it feels very familiar. So that's the important thing.
Yeah, it does. So thank you so much for that. So Gus, before we launch into your top 5 AI tools, which we'll come to set up in a moment, I am just going to read out some of these nice comments from the people in the audience today. So Lisa has joined us from Stratford-upon-Avon in the UK, and Lisa is keen to better understand how AI can help me in my business. So that's perfect, because that's what we've got lined up for you today. So that's great. We've got Hike. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I hope so. Hi there. My name is Hike, joining from the Black Forest in southern Germany. Wow. How fabulous. Thank you for joining us from Germany. And if anyone else wants to type your name, where you are, and what you'd like out of the session, please do. I am checking in, I am reading them, and I can read them out as well. Right, so Gus, on to AI. Okay, that's what I've invited you to talk about today. It's everywhere. You can't get away from it. I think at times I've thought I might like to hide under a stone and pretend it's not happening.
Absolutely, me too.
But we've not got the choice. I'm sort of that generation where it is quite frightening for me to see this huge transformation in technology and the way the world is going.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the people, do feel the same. But again, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
We've got to get on it, So tell me about your AI experience.
So in particular, I should start with saying I'm not an AI expert, which probably is the wrong thing to say to a bunch of people who are tuned in to hear all about AI. But I'm a marketer, and I've always been a marketer. And I think one of those things, like you, we're of that generation. So much has happened in our lifetimes, and particularly in the last 20 years. Like, I did my marketing degree in the late 90s, and social media didn't even exist. And now, 25 years later, all this world that we've got right now, for example, exists, and it's bizarre to think of that.
It is.
So what I do is I use AI in my business. I started using AI probably roughly around 18 months ago, there or thereabouts, and essentially to help me in my business, but also to helping me to market my business.
Yes.
So I run a digital marketing agency, so that's essentially what I do. But it's not only do I help my clients with AI, but I use AI to obviously help my own business. Yeah. And I think that's where hopefully my top 5 tools will talk about the fact that these are things that can help us, but it's not like we have to know everything. We just have to know these little bits that will get us over the line in particular places, kind of thing. So if anybody's tuning in to work out, can we build a robot that, will make us a cup of tea in the morning? Unfortunately, I don't know how to do
That's
that.
not
Just yet.
That's not the webinar for today,
No,
is
no,
it? That's
no.
not the webinar. I've got a few more people that have commented, so I'm just going to read a couple, and then
Sure.
we'll go into
Absolutely.
your slides. So Jordan Kirby is from Birmingham. How can I get AI to make my marketing role easier? I think we probably have some help for you there, Jordan.
Yep.
Tracy says she's from Leamington, interested in how to use it alongside human skills. Well, that's interesting. Hopefully we can help you with that, Tracy, as well. I think there might be Alan from Warwick, and he just wants to demystify AI.
Love that word.
So again, hopefully we can have some good conversation about that. So Gus, let's kick off.
So
Tool number one.
tool number one. So the tool that we should all talk about, and obviously everybody knows, is the one that is the most famous, is ChatGPT. And that's kind of the one that, to be honest, most people know about, most people talk about, etc. And it's the easiest place to start. If there's any tool that I can recommend, I would recommend ChatGPT. Now, obviously, if you talk to other AI specialists, they might give you a bunch of other tools, etc. But particularly if you're a beginner, ChatGPT is probably the best one to use to start with.
Yeah.
So particularly in terms of what ChatGPT can do, it's what we call a multimodal system. So audio, visual, text, etc. I use ChatGPT particularly as almost like an assistant. So I talk to ChatGPT and kind of say, right, can you give me some information about this? And it will kind of give me an answer, and then I'll respond and say, oh, actually, how about adding this? Or can you amend this paragraph? Or can you elaborate on this, etc. One of my tips for any AI is to treat it like a human assistant. And I think you then get the best responses from it. And something else I found is that if I'm polite to ChatGPT, it will give me better answers.
Who knew?
Now, I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if people have seen that. But basically, so I follow, there's another AI specialist, a lady called Heather Murray, who basically, she mentioned that if you actually ask it, if you use the phrase no yapping, it will actually condense the information that it gives you, kind of thing. And what I've discovered is that if I say please or thank you, can you give me this, please? Thank you for these answers, etc. It gives me better answers.
So just like a human, to Tracy's point,
Yes,
how
yeah,
to
yeah.
use it alongside human
Yeah.
skills. Manners cost nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, as my
absolutely.
mum always taught me.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
typing that one extra word. But it is, I think one of the best tips I ever got, and one of the best tips that I can share, is that if I use ChatGPT like a human assistant, I can have those conversations with that assistant in terms of basically having a conversation. If I just type in one question, so what AI specialists call a prompt, if I just give it a prompt and then just take whatever it gives me, it's normally just a very run-of-the-mill, generic, everyday answer, which
Yes.
is, but if you ask it to elaborate or change the iteration of anything, or to focus on a particular area, etc., it will then give you different answers.
What about tone of voice? So ChatGPT is the only one that I've had a go at. Okay, and I've been using it probably for about 12 months, but quite tentatively. Again,
Yeah.
like I say, quite nervously. And I'll often sort of take something and then I'll feel like I need to rewrite it and make it more of my own. So again, you're talking about it gives you something and then you can tweak it.
Yes,
So again,
absolutely.
I could say, couldn't I, could you make it funnier? Or
Yeah.
could you be more professional? Or,
Yeah.
or whatever that particular tone was or style of writing. It'll do all of that.
Absolutely, yeah, and particularly like if you delved into ChatGPT, you have the paid version and the free version and the paid version.
Okay.
Now in the free version, you can do all that. You ask all the questions, etc., and it can elaborate on things, etc. On the paid version, you can create what they call custom GPTs, which so you can add in documents about your own tone of voice. You can upload a link to your website. You can upload a link to your LinkedIn profile, etc. And over time, creating a custom GPT, you can then write stuff like, for example, write me an article about AI tools written in the style of Gus Bhandal. And it will, because it has all that information to hand. So that's part of the paid version. But the free version, for the most part, is more than good enough.
Yeah.
And as you suggested there, never take the first answer. I think that's the important thing. Me personally, the way I use AI and particularly ChatGPT in my business is I make sure that it's just there just to kind of get me over the line. It kind of, it's never for the end product. It's more about having that conversation of how do I get to the end product, but then I create that myself.
Katie's popped a comment on to say that she uses it to get her off that blank page.
Yes.
So again, when you're looking at that white page on your laptop or whatever, and you've got to get started, it's a great way to sort of kick off, and then you can fill in the gaps and things.
Absolutely.
Lisa has asked a question here.
Sure.
How can we use AI to help elevate our sales pitch and win new clients?
That's a great question. So for example, you could put in who your ideal clients are. Okay. So for example, you would ask the question of, this is my ideal client, this is their age, their demographic, their socioeconomic status, etc. Put as much detail as you can, and then essentially say, this is the service we provide. In terms of our ideal clients, what would be their pain points, etc., etc. And then essentially you talk to those pain points. Because ChatGPT, or indeed most AI tools, will give you a response based upon, well, this is your ideal client, and this is the problems that they have, and this is the solution that you deliver. How do we get from the problem to the solution? And so what language should we use to get them between the two, basically?
And Lisa has said, "Oh, I like, thank you."
Yeah, well, you're welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, anything else about GPT?
So there's, if I just kind of say next slide, Hugo. Yeah, so I love this slide. So,
it's great.
So we talk about prompt engineering. So particularly, essentially just asking the right questions. So in terms of this question, in terms of this image, it was like my question was, can you draw me a picture of a guy wearing a turban and glasses, dressed as a warrior, riding a horse through the streets of London? And this is what it created. And then I can follow this up with, well, make his turban orange, or put the London Eye in the background, or make sure that taxi isn't driving into a statue, or whatever it may be, right? Yeah. And then I can check. So the thing is, this is literally, that's just one prompt, and it created that image. Now, obviously, we could talk about the kind of the pitfalls and say, well, I'm not sure who owns that image, but unless you've used exactly the same prompt, I imagine that image is not created anywhere else. So in theory, that image would be mine, kind of thing. However, it's an amalgamation of what exists on the internet.
Yes.
As ChatGPT, as one of the large language models, it's actually it's everything that's based on the internet. So it's giving me information based upon what's in the internet.
Yeah.
So what that image demonstrates is that it not only can I create text, but I can also create accompanying images to go with that text, for example. So if I'm running a webinar, or I'm hosting a podcast, or I'm going to a networking event, etc.
Running a pitch.
Exactly. Yeah. I can use ChatGPT also to create images from there as well. Yeah. As part of ChatGPT, they also have Sora, which is a video creation tool as well. So it's all in one. So because it's what we call a multimodal system, it's text, visuals, and video. So it's photos and videos as well. And so ChatGPT, in theory, for most business owners, should be the only tool that you ever need.
And in order to get images and videos, do you have to pay a subscription?
For images, you don't. For the videos, you do. You do. To get, for want of a better phrase, to get decent videos. Okay. Yes, you should pay.
Yeah, because I've not seen any videos actually myself.
Yeah,
I've seen some photos like you've demonstrated there, but I've not actually seen any videos.
Yeah, so if you pay, then you get the video tool stuff as well. Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, basically, yeah. As with anything in life, you pay, you get the good stuff.
That's how it goes, isn't it? Yeah, we know that. Yeah. Brilliant. This is such good stuff. Thank you, Gus. Okay, shall we move on to your
absolutely
next slide?
So Magai, Magai.co is so I love this tool. So Magai.co is basically, it's an amalgamation of all the other tools. And it's one fee per month. So, for example, we're talking about a number of tools here, today. Yeah. And ChatGPT, if you're going to pay for it, it starts at £20 a month, for example. Magai also starts at £20 a month, but they have a pro version, which is £30 a month, and then a kind of a more, like a pro plus version, which is a bit more. But it's an amalgamation of lots of tools in one place. So it uses a variety of tools and a variety of large language models all plugged into one place, basically. So whereas ChatGPT does everything based upon one large language model, Magai is more or less the same, but uses lots of large language models. So Gemini, Claude, etc. So it uses Google and Microsoft and etc. But also it finds the best tool for you. So essentially you pay a monthly fee, and whatever you're kind of asking it, it will pick the best tool, or you can choose the tool. So essentially for the same price as ChatGPT, you get multiple tools instead of just one, basically.
Right, okay. So it's a deluxe version, perhaps, would you say?
Yeah, so their strapline is basically why use one AI tool when you can use them all, basically. And I think that's the thing.
And that would obviously do copy for you. It would do images. Would it do videos as well, like you've just said? So again, if anyone's got any questions, please drop them in. So if I was using Magai, and again, like Lisa, I wanted to pull a pitch document together.
Yeah.
Again, have I uploaded our website, so it's got all of our information and our tone of voice and that kind of thing? It's all the same.
Yes.
Similar sort of process.
So because it uses ChatGPT as well, like that's one of the models you can choose. So instead of paying for ChatGPT and Magai, you could pay just for Magai, and then you get ChatGPT as well, kind of
But again, it's pulling more resources from the internet wider than ChatGPT.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, as with large language models. So for example, like I said, we have Claude, we have Gemini, we have OpenAI, so ChatGPT, etc. It's all based upon their own snapshot of the internet, whereas Magai takes a snapshot of lots of different internets, if that makes sense. So something I learned recently is that Claude, as one of the large language models, is very much focused on safety and online safety and like ethics and stuff like that.
That's good to know.
So if you are the kind of business that needs to be ethical or sustainable or needs to kind of share that kind of content, Claude is the best large language model to use, as opposed to ChatGPT, etc., because the output is more focused upon what your deliverables would be. And that's the thing. But rather than choosing lots of different large language models and thinking, oh, which one do I use? Something like Magai can actually just amalgamate them all and then pick the best one for you, basically. Or you get to choose. Basically.
Okay, and does Magai do anything free? Is it
yes, there's a free version as well.
There's a little free version as well?
Yes,
there you go.
yeah.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this one out then. This is on my list.
There should be a free version. Yeah.
Lisa has asked a question. This is Lisa Reynolds now. It's a different Lisa. Hi, Lisa Reynolds in Stratford. So she says she's not sure if this is a silly question, and it's not, Lisa.
No such thing.
I have been just literally thinking this in my head. What is a large language model?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
Just so the audience knows, I had a really long presentation. I had loads of slides, and there was a slide all about large language models. George told me to take it out, so yeah, just so you know.
It's my fault.
I'm kidding. So literally, a large language model is, for example, something like Google's Gemini tool or the Microsoft tool. So you've got Claude, which is owned by Anthropic, or you've got ChatGPT, which is owned by OpenAI, and all that kind of stuff. So essentially, a large language model is it's the tool that you use for the outputs that you want to create, and it basically so all these tools have a snapshot of the internet, but they all have a different version of the internet. So when you go to Google, it's only information that's ever on Google. Whereas if you go to Bing, it's information that's on Bing, if that makes sense. And I know, and don't get me wrong, I know nobody uses Bing, but that's not, hopefully that kind of makes the point. Don't tell Bing I said that. But the point is, it's whatever search, it's like a search engine. So whatever search engine you use, it will only ever give you information based upon that search engine. So something like Magai will give you a number of search engines that you can access, whereas ChatGPT is only the ChatGPT kind of search engine, and Claude is only the Claude, like the Anthropic search engine, etc.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's whatever part of the internet that they use.
Okay. Hope that.
I'm sure there's a bad description. I'm sure there's a bad description, but
I think that's great, Gus. Thank you so much. Okay, I mean, it's 2:20 already. I'm going to push you on to number 3, please.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's move on. So, number 3, perplexity. I love perplexity. So, perplexity is basically if ChatGPT and Google had a love child, basically. And I got to be honest. So lots of AI specialists talk about Perplexity, and they're like, we should really use Perplexity. Everybody should use Perplexity. And I never really looked into it. But then LinkedIn sent me an email because I pay for LinkedIn, and they basically said, "Oh, you get 1 year of Perplexity Pro." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let me try this out, like for free of charge."
Yeah.
And it's great. And it's like there's an app on my phone and all that kind of stuff. So it's I can search trending news stories, where the next eclipse is, we had the solar system, we could see all the planets the other day. There was loads of information about that. Then it had images and pictures, and then you can manipulate stuff and all this other kind of stuff. But actually, it's a search engine as well. But it's a search engine based upon, again, a variety of large language models. So you get to choose. So I'm sure you've seen in the news, like DeepSeek, the Chinese large language model that, that everybody's trying to already ban, even though it's only just come out because it's Chinese and all that kind of stuff. So we have all these large language models. Now, what Perplexity does is you get to choose. So you can choose Claude or ChatGPT or DeepSeek, et cetera, to find the information that you want. And the best thing about Perplexity is I go in, I'll ask it a question. So I'll pick a large language model, then I'll ask it a question. Like, here's my question, like, how do I write an article for LinkedIn, for example? And I could use Claude as the large language model. And then it will give me an answer. I could take that answer, etc. And then what I can do is I can change the large language model to something else, such as, so from Claude, I could change to Gemini or something like that. And say, right now, the same question, now give me the answer that the other large language model can do. And then it will give me that. And then what it can do is it can amalgamate the content so that it's taken it from a number of places. But also, because it's very much like Google, it's actually it will prompt you in response to give you a better response at the end of it.
Right.
Basically.
Okay. I've got a question from Alan. Alan says, people keep talking about training AI tools. So how long will it take an AI tool to learn to speak, write in my tone of voice, and how do I train it?
Comparatively quickly. It's comparatively quickly, but you have to understand that all AI tools are just based upon what's on the internet.
Yes.
Because quite frankly, they're not sentient beings. Obviously that sounds stupidly obvious.
They like manners though. But
they like manners, absolutely. Yeah. So they could be sentient very soon.
Yeah.
But it's however you talk to it, it will remember that. So for example, social media algorithms, whatever you're watching, the videos that you're looking, the posts that you're clicking on, etc., pretty soon, quite quickly, you start seeing more of that stuff.
Okay.
The AI tools are exactly the same, more or less. The stuff that you're asking it, the questions that you're asking, the way you're asking them, etc., it will start learning how to give you responses and the kind of responses that you're into. And of course, if you then pay, you can then upload those kind of documents.
I was going to say, you mentioned that right at the start, didn't you, actually? If you do pay, you can put your website address in and any documents that you might have already so that it starts to understand who you are, what your values are, of course. Because again, here at Purple Monster, we're really, we have these values that we stand by. Actually, if AI could understand what they are, I could really sort of lean into those for us in terms of written copy and documents and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think most medium to large businesses should have a tone of voice kind of guideline. They should have brand guidelines, etc. And all these documents exist that if you literally upload them as PDFs into a custom GPT and then a link to your website or a link to your LinkedIn profile or whatever it may be, etc., pretty soon it will start responding and creating content based upon that language.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It really is. It's scary but fabulous.
I was going to say, I'm not going to have a job for much longer.
Yeah.
This is the worry, isn't it? Quick question from Tracy. She says, would Perplexity be good for research? I think you've pitched it like that, actually.
It would be better than ChatGPT for research. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
ChatGPT is one of these things that it creates content. Magai, you can use a number of tools, etc. But Perplexity is more for research. And because, like I said, because it's the AI versus Google kind of love child, I think it's it does so much more research, basically.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's a fabulous tool, yeah.
A question from Lisa Reynolds. How do you know what the correct answer is if each large language model has a different answer?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The answer is only whatever you want it to be, because ultimately That sounds right. That sounds like I just said a really weird thing. But
No.
what I meant is that you're looking for an answer because you're putting a prompt in. You're asking that question. So you're saying, here's my question. Please give me the answer to this question. I've got another slide later with lots of different tools, but there's a particular tool called Originality. It's not in my top 5. It should be. But there's a tool called Originality.ai. And whatever output is created, you can then run it through Originality to essentially, it's a fact checker and making sure that it's not plagiarizing loads of content and all that kind of stuff. So there are AI tools that can help you with this, but ultimately you want to know if the answer is true.
Of course, especially if it's research or you want some stats or something like that, then actually you need to know that these are verified and accurate, and it's not just,
Absolutely. But the thing is, there's, you will hear of the phrase hallucinations when it comes to AI. So sometimes AI just makes things up if there's a gap. So for example, I heard recently where somebody wrote a story about the fact that they went on a holiday and they went to a particular place and stayed in a particular hotel, and they wrote a whole story about it, etc. But because the AI tool they used had no idea about what flights they caught or what airport they went to, they just made that bit up and just inserted it. And they're like, oh, they flew from this airport on this airline and blah, blah, and they hadn't.
No.
So sometimes AI, based upon the knowledge of the internet, will just make things up. So there are AI tools that can help you with fact checking. The one that I would use is Originality.ai.
Originality, to make sure it's accurate, everybody. There we go.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we're next tool, number 4.
Oh, cool. Number 4, is captions. I had to look at the screen because it's,
It's fine.
I love captions. Captions is an app on my phone, and it's basically, it creates a digital twin. Now, so essentially, you record it's one of these like deep fake things. So you record a video and upload it into captions, and it will hear your tone of voice. It will hear your annotations, your iteration, how you talk, etc., your mannerisms, the way you blink, the way you talk, all that kind of stuff. And then you can use that as a digital twin to create more videos. So I can type stuff in and it will create videos. So for example, it can translate it into 27 different languages. So I could do an AI training course, record it into captions. It could be like a 10-minute course, for example, and then say translate into 27 different languages, and it will create those videos, and it will move my lips to the language as well.
Oh, now that's very clever, isn't
and
it?
And it's on your phone, and I think it's about £5 a month or something like that kind of thing. There's a free, you can create, I believe, up to 3 videos for free, and then there's a paid version.
You have to start paying.
But captions is a cracking tool, basically.
Wow. That's also quite scary for me.
But it's really good.
But fascinating.
It is.
Absolutely fascinating.
It's really good for people that create videos, or particularly training videos, or indeed if they're scared of being on camera, for example. Just record one video, because then from then on you can just type stuff and it will just make a video for you, basically.
I'm going to look at that, because already I'm starting to doubt that. How believable will it be? I'm starting to imagine that it'll be like slightly out of sync. When the voice and the mouth is moving.
Very much like a Bruce Lee film. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So like really badly done.
Is it like that, or am I just being really sort of pessimistic?
I think it's let's put it this way: it's not perfect as such, but it's still your face. It's when you.
It's still very clever.
It's incredibly clever, but it's when you if you kind of say, right, can you overlay Tom Cruise's face on it or something like that.
Right.
That's when you could tell that this doesn't work, kind of thing. Particularly if you put Tom Cruise's face on my body. I mean, you're like, that's not him. he's really let himself go. But I think that I think it's a good tool to help people with video creation.
It's a fantastic suggestion.
It's really good.
It's a brilliant suggestion. Before we do your very last one, I've got a question from Alan here about image generating. So it says, the image generating AI models seem to be much more difficult to prompt. So any tips on using tools like Midjourney without it creating rubbish?
The short answer is no, weirdly, because it's all about that prompt. So Midjourney is a great tool. As part of ChatGPT, they use something called DALL-E, which is DALL-E. and that's the image creation tool in ChatGPT. Midjourney is a standalone image creation
Image
tool.
creator.
And there's another one called Ideogram, IDEOgram, which is great. And it's basically, it creates graphics, they create images, etc. So the deeper the prompt, the better the image. But the prompt has to be really deep. So as the example I used earlier with the guy wearing a turban and glasses and riding a horse through the streets of London, etc., it created a great image, but it's not, there might be other things. So if I said, make his turban orange, or put the London Eye in the background, or etc., so make the horse white, whatever it could be, the output is only ever as good as your prompt.
As the input.
Yeah.
So basically the answer, Alan, is just give it a better brief.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it. The brief can be as long as you want. The brief could be like a whole page. You know, it could be like 10 paragraphs long. So it's it's the better, as with anything in life, the better the brief.
And again, I guess as we start to use AI more frequently, I mean, certainly I'm going to have a go at quite a few of these today. So this is fantastic. Again, we will become accustomed to what it needs.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it at the moment. We're still very much in a test and learn phase, or I certainly am, and potentially for Alan as well. So again, we'll start to get used to it, and we'll start to understand what it needs to then be able to give us what we want from
Absolutely.
it.
I think there's, at the moment, there's no such thing as a pure AI specialist. I think that's the thing. There are people that use AI, and as with anything in life, people... So I run a marketing agency, so I'm better at marketing than most people, but that's only because I spent my whole life learning it. Whereas if somebody else kind of said, oh, can you, I don't know, like I'm not a chef, or I'm not a cook, or I don't know anything about accounts. I can't do accountancy, etc. But that's because I haven't learned it, and it's the same with AI. The more you spend learning it, the more of an expert you will become. But as of today, it's just a time factor. The only difference between someone like me that uses AI all the time and somebody that doesn't is the fact that I've got more time on my hands. It's basically
Great, good for you.
Yeah, it's not much more than that, basically, because there's no it's not like there's accredited courses, or there's no like kind of legislation around it. And there's no and all that kind of stuff, etc. Not yet. No. There has to be. There absolutely has to be legislation around it. But as of today, it's just the more time you have, spend time learning.
Yeah, and if you're interested, of course, that's it. You've got to have that interest.
Yeah.
Right, I think we're coming up to time, so we have got time for number 5.
Right, number 5. Let's go with
so
Letterly. So I love Letterly. So I run a marketing agency. So as a marketing agency, there's I have lots of ideas, and I have lots of creative ideas, not only for me, but obviously also my clients, etc. And what Letterly does is it transcribe. So I talk into it, and it will transcribe it, but it will also create, for example, notes, messages, emails, blogs, etc., etc. So, for example, I could connect Letterly to something like using something like Zapier. I could connect it to ChatGPT, and I could say, right, I could talk into it and say, here's my ideas for a blog. Here are all my ideas, kind of thing. And it will transcribe it into text. I copy and paste that text into ChatGPT, and then I say, write me a blog based upon these ideas. So when I'm out and about, like taking my dog for a walk, I mean, I don't know why I said that, I don't have a dog. But for example, if I had a dog.
I do. So it would be my example. I'm walking my dog.
So when George and I go out, walk the dog, we, the thing is, you would talk into so walking your dog, or taking your kid to school, or maybe not driving. Don't do it while you're driving. Yeah. But for example, when you have some free time, or sometimes when we wake up in the morning, you think, I've got some brilliant ideas.
Sit and have a coffee or whatever your morning drink is. We quite often have thinking time there, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you record a voice note into Letterly, and it will create whatever you want to create from there. But it's not just we'll just transcribe what you're saying. It will give you ideas. So it's a proper AI tool. So it gives you ideas, and it will build out. And then you could take what it builds out and put it into, for example, something like Perplexity or ChatGPT, to then build it out even further into a blog or an article or a LinkedIn post or whatever it may be, kind of thing. And
I think what I'm hearing today from you, Gus, is that, I know that we've only talked about 5 tools, and as a final slide, you've got quite a few more on there. Yeah. But that actually, it is a web, isn't it? That actually, what I've learned from you today very much is around using one to lean into another, to lean into something else, and that actually, it is very much a case of, it's weaving this web of how you use your AI tools to to bring in what the content you need and the ideas that
Absolutely, yeah, and this is why, you know, when I talked about the top 5 tools, I started with ChatGPT because for the most part, for most people, that does everything you need it to do, and there isn't too much more that you need to know about that. It's only when you start deep diving into stuff, and basically this is about how do we help our lives, how do we make our lives easier. So all the times when you think, oh, I wish I made these notes, or I wish I said this, or I wish I could write an article about this, etc. This is what all these tools can do. And oh, I need an associated image, or you know, I don't want to pay for a Shutterstock or whatever it may be. There's loads of stuff that we can do using AI. And if we can move on to the next slide, and then I'll just Hugo, that would be great. So we have a number. So ideogram is great for images. We have. Zoom is an interesting one because I think what Zoom reminds me is the fact that there is so much AI that exists in our world at the moment, basically. So you can rewrite content using AI on LinkedIn. The AI companion on Zoom, if you pay for Zoom, quite literally it transcribes your meeting, which you can then turn into action points or meeting minutes or stuff like that. So you don't even have to do any of that. Sorry, if we just get that slide back. Yeah, great. Old text is great. It's good for accessibility because obviously you can add old text, or all images should have old text online. Originality, obviously, for fact checking.
We talked about that.
HeyGen and 11 Labs work really well together in terms of it creates a video and then you can use 11 Labs to create a voice over that video. Opus Clip is great for splicing content. We've got AI for Work, which is a tool which helps you with prompt engineering. We've got Chatbot Builder, which helps to build chatbots. And then something like Superhuman is something that it's an AI tool that separates our email inbox for us. So if we've got loads of emails, we connect it to Superhuman and it will separate it into different kind of like, so these are urgent, these are about a particular client, this is about a particular work stream, etc., etc.
I like the sound of that one.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I need it. I've got about 10,000
that's
open emails.
Fantastic.
So,
Brilliant. Gus, I'm sorry to have I just cut you off there.
No,
I
no,
apologise. But we are at time. So just before we go, I'm just going to reach out to everyone. Or we've got a couple of questions from Lisa here. She says, do you think there will always be a human element to AI in terms of sense checking, language, tone, positioning, etc.? And are there data protection and ownership implications with using AI? I know of organisations who do not allow use of AI tools. So yeah, you said it's not regulated yet, is it?
No. So to answer the first question, in our lifetime, I believe that we will always need a human element, right? So particularly to counteract things like hallucinations or stereotypes, you have to understand, because everything is taken from the internet, it's all based upon whatever the internet believes.
Yeah.
So,
and you can't believe everything you read on the internet.
Absolutely, exactly, and I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
So it will always need that human element to fact check things.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, for example, data protection and all that kind of stuff, I recommend that if you run a business where you're going to use AI, even if it's like 0.1% of your day or of your work, etc., have an AI policy in your work. You know, like how we have privacy policies and cookie policies and all that.
All of the policies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Add an AI policy to your business
policy,
as well.
Absolutely.
It's not fully regulated yet, and I think that's the issue. But particularly when it comes to data protection, there's no rhyme or reason. We don't know who, because it's not our content. No. And this is why the more prompts we use and the more questions we ask, the more unique the content, the outputs will be, kind of thing. Yeah. And the more the more prompts we use, the more unique the content, the more likely it is that nobody else is going to have any similar content, because it's all based upon our questions, basically.
That's amazing. Gus, I'm going to pause there and say massive thank you to you.
It's absolutely my welcome.
It's been an absolutely really enjoyable conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to you guys, our audience. The chat has been fantastic. It's been consistent. You've been alive. You've been with us. So thank you so much. And I think we've got just a final slide with Gus's LinkedIn details on there, so that if anyone wants to, make sure you find him, Gus Bhandal, the marketing guru. There's a QR code there that you can scan, and it'll take you straight to his LinkedIn page, and you can link in and ask him any more questions that you might have.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're absolutely welcome to.
About AI. And so it's time for us to go. And thank you again. And everybody, will see you maybe next time. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
See you now.
Bye.